Hi everyone. In today's video, we are going to talk about some very interesting and unique plants that I have in my collection. You can see them here, just like stones. Yes, these are stone plants, or they're called the lithops, or they're called living stones. They're also called the flowering stones, or you can call them the pebble plant. It's also called the butt plant, and in its native habitat, it sometimes also goes with the name horse's hoof or the hoof plant, etc. The name lithops comes from the Greek word lithos and ops. So, two different words. Lithos means stones, and ops is like or face. So, stone face or stone like, which exactly depicts or describes the plants they are. Now, lithops belong to are a group of succulents that belong to the ice plant family. Technically, all of these here are lithops, but this one here in this pot, this is of the same family, but it is of a different species. So this is called the conophytum. So they have a different cycle, blooming and growing cycle when compared to the lithops. That's the main difference. But also in terms of care, watering schedules differ for conophytums when compared to lithops. Now going back to lithops. If I tell you the native habitat of these plants, probably it will give you a good idea about their care. Right? Lithops are native to Namibia and the desert areas of South Africa. And these plants have so well developed and adapted to the local habitat. And these kind of grow in areas which gets almost zero rainfall per year. And given the expanse of South Africa, of course, you have lithops across, and depending on the species, and there are almost 145 native species and a lot more hybridized species available. Their care requirements are a little different. The bottom line is all of these are desert plants, live in drought areas which get very little rainfall. So if you look at the plants itself, these are the two leaves of the plant, and then there's a fissure in the middle or just a cut in the middle between the two, and these two leaves are fused together. So the stem is not visible, and then you have a relatively long taproot. Okay, one central taproot that connects the edge of the leaves into the soil. And the reason why they need that strong root system is again because they have to go find water into the depths of the soil in the sandy, gritty area that they live in. And the leaves are adapted to absorb any kind of moisture that they get, irrespective of however less rain they might get. So lithops are desert plants. The first thing is about light. They like to be grown in very sunny areas. Okay, so even in your balcony or your terrace garden, put them in quite a sunny spot. They will not like shade, but they are not shade loving plants. You need to give them enough sun. Okay, don't put them in direct afternoon sun. That might cause sunburn as well. But put them in a relatively bright spot. The minute you don't give them bright light, they have a tendency to get elongated. Now, when it comes to soil, they like gritty soil. So, grow them in a pot which has absolutely gritty soil. You can use sand, you can use perlite, you can use pumice, you can use any kind of gravel, granite pieces, etc. Again, as with any desert plant, you need to be able to put water in, and the water should just flow out without any resistance from the bottom of the pot. So that's the kind of soil that you're looking for when it comes to lithops. And these are absolutely susceptible to overwatering. So the minute you overwater them, and you even water them out of time, like for instance, if they are just in their dormant season and you water them what they will do is they will just start rotting. Okay, so ensuring that you have soil to support the plants and their habitat is extremely important. So try and use as gritty a soil as possible when you're trying to grow these beautiful plants. The life cycle of the lithops is very interesting, right? If you look at some of the plants here, if you look at this one here, it has got the outer leaves, this a little bit of this reddish pinkish leaves. These are the outer leaves, and you can see that the inner leaves are developing and the leaves are at right angle to the outer leaves, and you can see that everywhere. Here you have the outer leaves, and these are the inner leaves which are at a right angle to the outer leaves, and this is how they can multiply as well. Here you can see that two outer leaves and two inner leaves. It could also be possible that you'll have the two outer leaves and four inner leaves, and that's how they multiply and they kind of form a clump. See how this one is slowly splitting up, and you can slowly see the inner leaf as well, right? So, and you can see it's already at a 90-degree angle compared to the outer leaf. This one is again just split up, and this fissure is in this direction and the inner leaf is in the opposite direction. So that's how they multiply, and that's phase one. So they split up, and the outer leaf splits up, and then the inner leaves comes up, and that's the time when it is ripe for blooming. Now when it kind of splits up, that's the time that you can water it lightly. But once it splits up, and once it shows a bud and starts blooming, you should stop watering it, because it will use this outer leaf as a moisture to feed the inner leaves as well. So they do not need that any additional moisture for them to be able to sustain themselves or to hydrate themselves. Okay, the minute you add moisture to them when they are not required to be watered, what will happen is that they will bloat up and they can burst, and they can also just rot away, and you lose the entire plant. The other very interesting feature about lithops, and something that I have learned through my experiences, I had some of these for some time. The conophytum is new. This pot is also new. I wanted to start off with very small lithops and see how I can grow them. But some of these are relatively old. This pot I have had for some time. I repotted it recently. Then this one also I've had it for some time. This one is relatively new as well. Now the interesting part, as I said, is they like to clump together or cluster together. Through my experiments, I've tried to split them up, put different lithops in different pots, etc. But I have failed miserably with that. And over time, I have learned that if you clump them together, they like to grow together. Especially I've seen it with this pot. This one, it didn't have so much of growth. But once I have started clustering them into the same pot, I'm seeing a lot more growth and a lot less of plants dying. Remember, they grow in areas where they get 0 to very little rainfall. So don't think that you're by watering them often, you're doing them a favor. In fact, it will have the opposite effect. If you see that the plants look okay, they are not looking stressed, or there aren't any wrinkles. Plants require water, they will wrinkle up. The leaves will start wrinkling up, and so you know that they need that additional moisture. And as I said, the third part of it is soil. Making sure that you have the right mix. The coarser the soil, better it is for them. I use a lot of pumice as well as sand and gravel in my potting mix, and that's the best way. Any like an adenia mix or your cactus mix would do great for lithops. they develop beautiful flowers, and each plant in one cycle develops one flower. Okay, of course they can develop multiple as well, but normally all of these flowers grow, if you have a cluster together, it will all flower at the same time, looks lovely. And the flower comes from the fissure like this, so it will not develop a flower now, right? I mean, once these leaves go away and you have the new the inner leaves, it will kind of bloom from the center of that a fissure, and that's what develops into a flower. And the flowers can come in different colors. It could be white, yellow, orange, etc. And the flowers themselves look like daisies. I'll put a small picture of the flower there, of a lithop flower, so that you can see how it looks like. Okay, so this is about lithops. Beautiful plants, easy to grow as long as you don't disturb them or don't over pamper them. So these are one of the most low maintenance plants. In terms of pests, keep a lookout for mealybugs as well as spider mites. Especially mealybugs is something that I have seen lithops suffering from. In fact, one full set of mine, especially this, it was not really the lithops but the Nelly variety, that was completely destroyed by mealybugs. So it is possible for them to get mealybug attacks, but as long as you just keep a watch on them and keep dusting them off, right, once in a while, it should be fine. Don't let the infection spread if it comes to mealybug infection. Otherwise, they are pretty easy. They are, after all, just living stones, so treat them like stones. Give them a sunny balcony or a sunny spot in your garden, and they should do extremely well for you. And here are some of the, I can show you close-ups so that you can see how these look like. Okay, and I have tried to put similar varieties into the same pot and have clumped them together in the same pot. This is more of my assorted pot, and this has a few different varieties. This is again a pot where I have clumped a lot of them together, and they should be hard to the touch. That's important. If they are not hard and if they go soft, it means that you are over watering them. Okay, and this is the assorted pot again. All right, thanks so much for watching, and I hope this was helpful for you. Thanks, bye.